Welcome back. I'm your host, Muhammad Bey. Welcome back to the Trade Broker's Diaries special mini-series on the Joker Broker. In this video, I want to go over the different kinds, different aspects of trade brokering that anyone can try to begin to start doing from their home, usually with a good deal of education and background preparation. Each type of trade brokering involves different skills and different aspects of international trade. Some of these areas may not be as glamorous as you might think they are, but they may turn out to be the kind of lucrative activity that you're really looking for. One thing I'd like to say before we continue: if after a year or two of trying to be a so-called trade broker, you find that you are not succeeding, it might be better to take a different tack and attack the whole idea of becoming a trade broker from a more professional and better planned strategy. What follows is a list of import-export related trade jobs, some of whom you might find useful or interesting as a career for the rest of your life. The export merchants. The export merchant buys and sells on his own account. He purchases products directly from the U.S. manufacturers or other manufacturers, such as those in China, India, Japan, or other places. They mark the packages and goods using their own specifications and preferences, and sometimes with their own special product labels, such as making the product look as though it comes directly from their own factory, a custom label, for example. Then, under his name, the export merchant sells the products overseas and assumes all of the risk. Now, because of the high level of personal risk, export merchants primarily deal in staple commodities, such as toilet paper, soap, and things like that. For the producers, selling to an export merchant involves the same process as other domestic sales. The export agent. An export agent operates as a manufacturer's representative. Now, this is usually the area that defines what people tend to call the trade broker. The agent promotes and markets the product and assumes that the risk of loss remains with the manufacturer, not the agent. In transactions with export agents, for example, a U.S. company, for example, may relinquish control over the marketing and promotion of this product. This is where the import-export broker or agent or would-be mandate spends their time on LinkedIn or Facebook or 100 other business and social marketing sites promoting the products all day and all night from their computer. Relinquishing control can have adverse effects on the future sales efforts if the product is underpriced or incorrectly positioned in the market, or if after-sales services are neglected. Now, this is usually not the case with big-ticket items such as oil or natural gas. Usually the provider takes care of these sort of things. But in the case of small products such as dishes, eyeglasses, technical devices such as tools, medical equipment, cameras, these kinds of products can have problems with after-sales services if those services are neglected. The export commission house. This is an example. An export commission house is located in the United States and acts as a buying agent for a foreign company. Its primary concern is compliance with the instructions of its buyers, by whom it is paid, by the way, rather than the interests of the seller. Now, however, there are advantages for the seller. Many times the seller receives cash payments in the U.S. and is relieved of the technicalities involved in the exporting of the product. This is basically what the export commission house takes care of: all the heavy lifting, all the legwork. Then you have the export broker. An export broker brings buyers and sellers together. Now, this is the classic definition of an export broker. The broker is paid a commission either by the seller or the buyer and assumes no financial responsibility for the transaction. Normally, the broker works with no more than two staples, something like wheat or cotton or cement or urea, otherwise known as fertilizer, or a processed product like paper or furniture. This is generally taken to be the easiest area of endeavor. Most of the so-called trade brokers go into this area, and as you know, months and years go by before you get a deal, if you ever get one. This is why we're giving you this particular list, so that you can choose another area which might be more profitable for you. Then you have the buyer for export. The buyer for exports represents a large consumer of industrial goods, such as a foreign government purchasing mission. Usually they're looking for, as the definition implies, industrial goods, perhaps computers, furniture, vehicles, building materials, things of this nature. Keep in mind that becoming a representative for a large government or even a large corporation may involve background checks, fingerprinting, and credit checks. You might want to get out of the whole import-export brokering area altogether as a broker and try something a little more daring. Becoming an import or export management company, or EMC in this case of exports, might be a good idea. The services of an EMC may include foreign market research, which can be done fairly easily if you live in the market and you are familiar with tax records, business records, or corporation information that's available from your local government. Also, marketing strategies, things like foreign distribution, establishing a logistical system, managing and training a foreign sales force, shipping and export information, and other details, and arranging financial aid and foreign language translation services can be part of your entree of services which your company may want to supply to potential clients. Keep in mind that some export management companies work on a fee basis, while others may use a buy and sell arrangement or operate on a commission, much like your average trade broker. They are experts in the foreign trade that they're working on. They recognize the strongest markets for an individual product and the best sales strategy to utilize on that market. This is what separates them from the so-called joker broker who's just winging it and going on his own. Then you have what's called the piggyback marketing. Piggyback marketing occurs when a manufacturer distributes another firm's products. Piggyback marketing is often a common method used when U.S. companies have a strong contact with an overseas buyer to provide a wide range of products and services. Now, because the company is not able to produce all the contracted products themselves, it turns this process over to a U.S. firm to provide the remaining product. Now, other manufacturers piggyback their products without incurring any marketing and distribution costs associated with exporting. In most cases, the piggybacked product lines are complementary and appeal to the same customers. So, for example, you might want to buy, say, a pair of shoes. The piggyback product might be a pair of socks or stockings or something that goes with those shoes, or a purse, for example, and there might be some sort of accessory that goes with this particular purse that you might want to have, like a smaller purse, for example, that fits inside the purse. These sort of things. Then you have what's called the export trading company. Now, an export trading company is an organization designed to facilitate the export of goods and services from any country. It serves either as a trade intermediary, which provides export-related services to producers, or as an organization set up by the producers themselves. Now, while providing similar services to those of an EMC, an export trading company accepts the title of the exported goods, whereas an EMC does not. And last but not least, we come to the freight forwarder. Now, a freight forwarder is a travel agent for freight, basically. Just like your travel agent who make sure that you can get on an airplane and make sure that you get back on another airplane and have accommodations waiting for you at, say, someplace in the Caribbean or in Singapore or London or wherever. The freight forwarder does the same thing for your packages. An independent agent that aids and facilitates the shipment of exported goods. Freight forwarders are familiar with the procedures and regulations for shipping products overseas. That's all they do, basically. Now, as an agent for an exporter, a forwarder becomes a port representative for the exporter themselves. They oversee and coordinate the movement of the export shipments. The exporter pays for the freight forwarder, gaining both expertise and reduced prices from the aggregation of international shipments that a freight forwarder realizes. A freight forwarder can be of tremendous assistance regarding the presentation of a sales proposal or a quotation to a foreign customer. A freight forwarder can determine for you the proper terms of sale, i.e. FOB, FOB warehouse or FOB vessel, alert the exporter of required import-export licenses or particular consular documentation that is required, and help select a term of payment such as cash in advance, open account, payment by sight draft, or by letter of credit. Now, these terms were covered in a previous video, the link to which you will find in the description. The freight forwarder coordinates the movement of the freight from its point of origin to the buyer's port, arranging for timely delivery and proper loading of the vessel. The freight forwarder prepares the export declaration required by, in this case, the US or China or Japan or wherever it's going, the Department of Commerce if that country has one, the ocean bill of lading required by the steamship company for carriage of the goods, insurance certification, and other documentary requirements specified by the letter of credit or the shipping instructions. Now, as you can see from the examples we have illustrated here, there are a wide range of opportunities that you can partake of in order to enter into the world of international trade. The least of these is to become an import-export broker, or what ultimately winds up being called the joker broker. Many, if not all of these options, are going to require time for study, education, and preparation before you begin your endeavors. Take the time necessary to invest in yourself in order to become the thing you really want to be. There are no shortcuts in international trade. Take the time necessary and you will prosper. Write to us if you have any questions. We're always interested in hearing what you have to say. As usual, for all of our YouTube and other file sharing service users, please always comment, rate, and subscribe. I'm your host, Muhammad Bey. Thank you for watching our mini-series on the Joker Broker. Thank you for visiting our website, and take care.